Hi, I'm Ellie Frost, and this is a video about surrender and what it means because we hear about this concept of we need to surrender to achieve our goals, but what does it mean? And how, when we're really ambitious and we've got like really big goals and dreams, how can we apply that and why is it important? And the reason I'm doing it is because it's something that we're working on in the Make It Happen Mastermind this week, and it's a really, really, really important concept, and I think something that most of us don't quite understand. But for me, like, when we surrender, we're in faith. When we're not surrendered, so surrender meaning we have big goals and dreams and desires, but we are completely okay with where we are, right? That we have to be kind of surrendered to where we are right now. And if we're coming from a place of faith, then it's easy to surrender because we know where we're going and we kind of know it's done. But if we're not surrendered to where we are, and we've got these goals and dreams and things that hi, Lenny, we were just talking. If we've got these, hi, Harrison. If we've got these goals and dreams, it can put us into lack. So if you've heard about sort of lack mindset and scarcity, it keeps a lot of us stuck in not having the things we want. And it's quite a negative energy to be in because all we're looking at is what we don't have and what we want and why we don't have it. And it keeps us stuck there. So the key is to have the intentions and the goals and the dreams and then step into this sort of space of surrender, which is faith. It's knowing that it's going to happen, right? And believing that it's happening. It doesn't mean we don't take action. It doesn't mean we don't show up. It doesn't mean we don't do things to achieve those ultimate intentions, but we're very surrendered to where we are, so we're at peace with where we are right now, because where we are right now is all we've got. So we're not in resistance, because resistance is really something that binds most of us. It puts us in change, and when we're in like resistance to where we are, which is so easy and so common and so natural when we've got goals and we've got intentions, but when we are in resistance to where we are, we actually tend to push away our goals and dreams and desires because we get caught up in what we don't have, and we start thinking and being creative, or we kind of limit our creativity and we start thinking from that space of lack, of scarcity, of what we don't have. So how can we get into surrender? And the first thing to do is just start being okay. The reason most of us won't surrender to where we are and we kind of resist and push against it is because it's not where we want to be, because we've got this desire, we've got this next goal, and that's so natural. But in order to achieve the goal faster, coming into this space of more surrender is actually really powerful. So what we want to do is have our intentions and our goals and then kind of surrender to where we are, like be okay with where we are, knowing that it's not where we're staying, but not from the place of resisting where we are. So from that place, we're much more balanced and peaceful, not reactive, not in lack and scarcity. And it's a much more powerful place to start creating our dreams and knowing the right actions to take. Because if we take action from a place of scarcity and of lack, we're kind of acting from the energy of what we don't have and probably creating that more. So if we can completely surrender to where we are right now, make total peace with it. Hi, Nick. I'm Neil, sorry. Thanks. If we can completely make peace with it, then it's the best place to create from. And what we want to do is get into that creativity, into our inspiration, into our ideas, into a more positive energy. Because you imagine, like, if you go after a client or a contract or a deal or whatever you're doing, and you've got that energy around you and you've been thinking a lot about what you don't have and how much you need it. It's a real needy energy, scarcity and lack. If we're not surrendered to where we are and we're not in this kind of more powerful place, we give off a really needy, desperate energy as well. And that's just not attractive. It pushes people away. So we have to come into this whole kind of surrender and know that we've set our intention, know that it's ours. We have to know it's done. When you set a goal and intention, the key is to get into the energy of do the mindset work around and believe it's done. Know that it's done, and then ask, okay, so if I knew this was totally mine, if I knew I had this, what action would I take, right? If I knew I had it, if I was coming from that absolute certainty. So even if you don't feel certain, just ask the question of, okay, but if I knew I could have this, if I knew it could be mine, what would I be doing right now? And keep in that positive surrendered energy of, okay, and I'm going to choose to be totally okay with where I am, right? Because where I am doesn't matter. It's not where I'm going, but I'm not resisting it. I'm not pushing against it. I'm not fighting against it, because that scarcity and lack and that fight and resistance, it also kind of creates this neediness where we're looking for something outside of us, right, to give us something, and we're denying our own power in that everything's within us. We have to create everything we want from within us, so we have to find that kind of abundance. Abundance is a consciousness, it's an energy, right? Prosperity and stuff is the kind of result of that energy and that consciousness, but abundance in itself is an energy. It's just a consciousness, it's a feeling, it's a grateful feeling, it's a limitless feeling. It's a feeling that everything's okay and there's more than enough, right? So we can tell ourselves that constantly, there's more than enough for me, there's more than enough. We can keep tapping into that energy. The more we can do that, the more we can be powerful in what we go after, because if we are reinforcing the energy of the lack and the scarcity, then that's probably what keeps showing up, right? That's what we keep reinforcing in our life. So it's really, really, really cool and really, really, really important to notice where we are. Like, am I in resistance? Am I in lack and scarcity? Or am I tapping into that abundance energy? And the reason people do so much on gratitude is because gratitude is the same consciousness, it's the same energy as abundance. So if we can get into that, then we can start from that abundant place. And when you're in that energy and you're in that mindset of abundance, you see, then you start becoming much more aware of the limitless possibilities and the limitless potential, and our creativity is completely kind of burst open for us to be able to receive and to think differently and to see things differently, because the shift really comes in our perspective. That's why people use coaches or, you know, have mentors, because the power is in the change of our perspective. It's not in the external events. If you look at anyone that creates big changes in their lives or achieves their goals, it's not usually because some magic event happened that they weren't part of. What normally happens is their mindset shifts, their perspective shifts, and therefore they're able to create things differently, because that's all what we're doing. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about it on Monday. All we're actually doing is creating our lives, right? And that's the whole idea of like sourcing. We source our lives, we create our lives, we're responsible for our lives, and we're responsible for our state. And the way that we can create better is to take our state of mind and how we feel really, really seriously, so that we get ourselves into the best energy to be able to think better and be more intuitive and create differently. So but at the same time not be in this resistance, because the more you push against something, the harder it becomes. Hi, Kate. Nice to see you guys. I wish Facebook on the lives would give me your faces so we could all I think you can actually do that now, right, guys? Kate and I have been Snapchatting. I'm new to Snapchat. It's super, super, super fun. So yeah, that's my message for today, and I'm going to talk more, but we've got a mastermind that we work on stuff like this, and it's really, really cool, because these principles really make everything shift, and it is the change in state. It is the surrendered state, which isn't giving up. I think that's why a lot of people resist surrendering. It's because we think, oh, if I surrender to where I am right now, I'm going to give up. I'm going to not want to create or desire. And it doesn't work like that. The more we surrender to where we are, the more we become more powerful and quiet inside. Then we can just completely be responding to our desires, to our goals, to our intentions from a much more powerful place. And we're much more able to be powerful from that space where we're not using our energy in resistance, because resistance just keeps us stuck, and it kind of it lowers our mood, it makes us feel bad, it makes us feel like we're fighting a huge battle, but it's not usually the place to create the best work from. It's not usually where we do our best work, but we do our best work when we're kind of surrendered to that, and then in a pure creative kind of uplifted energy where we're much more in this abundance vibe, and we've moved out of the scarcity and lack. And scarcity and lack is just when we're kind of feeling like there aren't many options and there's not possibilities and we can't do much, and we're beating our head against a brick wall, and that puts us into a lot of resistance and a lot of kind of negative emotion. And we often take pretty struggle type action from there, where we feel like we're just struggling. But the problem with it is it often just keeps going on repeat. What we want to do is shift that into a different perspective, into a different energy, and then a different way of thinking, so that we can create in a much better way, and we're not fighting where we are. You can have intentions that are different to where you are without fighting and resisting where you are. We can completely accept it, we can own it. So when we've done a lot of personal development work, a lot of us confuse taking responsibility for where we are with kind of blaming ourselves or beating ourselves up, and that doesn't help either. So it's not about beating ourselves up for where we are, it's about taking the responsibility, i.e. acknowledging that we created it, but also surrendering to it, completely accepting it. Where we are is all we've got, right? And then moving into and working on the mindset and the energy of this more abundant, surrendered space where we're actually just free to create. So that's my message for today. Have a great day, guys.